welcome to Creative Conversations with David and Donna. I'm Donna.
And I'm David.
And David just told me that he had a dream. I have a dream. No, he had a dream. So he has lots to tell us about the dream, but there is a build-up. So we got to start with the backstory. So let's hear.
We're going to jump right into it. I like it.
Yeah.
So Disney bought Fox, as you know, last year.
Right.
But right before Disney bought Fox, Fox made another X-Men movie called The New Mutants. It's part of the X-Men franchise. And it looked really, really weird and wacky, like a horror movie almost.
Oh.
Like it's about these group of kids who have mutant abilities, and they're sort of like in this facility where they're like getting experimented on and everything like that. And it's like a horror movie. It looks very different from anything we've ever gotten, which is that's also one of the reasons I kind of liked X-Men at Fox. I really am happy to see the X-Men with the rest of the Marvel Universe. You know, I love the X-Men. You are familiar.
I'm familiar, but I don't really know.
X-Men.
You're saying New Mutants, so is this a new group of X-Men? Is that
Right, yeah. So it's about, like, they're called the New Mutants because all X-Men are mutants,
right.
But this is like a new group, so they're the New Mutants because they're teenagers and they're edgy and cool.
So how many X-Men are in the original group? 4?
In the movies, it's a pretty big team because it's a whole school.
Oh, okay.
The X-Men is one of the biggest teams ever. You have main X-Men like Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, so probably 5 or 6 at a time.
Okay.
Probably. And I'm excited to see those in Disney. But I actually really liked Fox having the X-Men franchise because they kind of screwed up a lot of stuff. But what I found is when you screw up a lot of stuff, you kind of stop caring sometimes. And when that happens, you just start making cool random things. That's why we got a movie like Logan.
Okay.
Have you seen Logan?
I've heard of it. I know what it is.
Patrick Stewart's incredible in it, so you'd love it just for that.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is so different from any Marvel movie we've ever gotten, and we're never going to get another film like it. We're never going to get another Western film that has Wolverine dropping F-bombs every 5 seconds and stabbing people in the head. It's a rated R superhero movie, and it's one of my favorite movies ever, not just comic book movies. It's just such a good movie. So New Mutants is a very weird thing, but Disney bought Fox, and so the movie was never released. It has been done for like 2 years. It's been completed. Yeah, just sitting there. And people are like, dude, it's free money. If you just put it in theaters, you didn't have to do anything. Fox paid for it all. This is free money. And so, complaining. And finally they said, okay, fine. We'll put it in theaters. So I think that's in March. Okay. We're going to get that movie. And I'm very excited for it. And so I had a really weird dream. So Disney, this is a freebie.
Okay.
If you like it, you can hire us on Fiverr. The link's in the description always.
Yes, and we will write the
screenplay. We will write the screenplay for it, but I already got it. So this is the pitch, and it's very much insane. This is a dream I had, and the reason I actually want to talk about this is because I think it is a nice reflection on how creative we all really are at all times if we just unlock it. Like, I have these insane dreams that, like, I came up with that. Like, I came up with that unconsciously. Like some really weird, wacky stuff, and I think you're gonna actually like it. So here's the thing. It's New Mutants, and they're at a school. Well, they're at this facility, and they have graduated. They have completed all of their training, and they all have these weird, different abilities and stuff like that. And there are teachers there who There are teachers there. One of them is Morgan Freeman, this old teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remembered, like, specifically, like, actors and stuff like that. And they're at this big banquet to celebrate that they have completed all their training and that they're graduating students. Mm-hmm. And they're cooking and they're eating food and it's going great. But then everyone can see, well, 2 students see that Morgan Freeman's acting all crazy. And he's, like, kind of outside on the balcony. So 2 students go out there. And Morgan Freeman's like, you boys don't understand. There's so much more to this world that none of you can't even grasp what's about to happen here. And he's like, watch this. And he falls backward off the balcony. The student's like, whoa! And then he collapses. And, like, he dies. And he's dead. And it's like,
wow.
What the heck? But then, and there's sort of like, there's like blood splatter everywhere. I know. But then, all of a sudden, the blood just comes back up to his body, and he's like, floats back up, and he's like, what do you think? come join me.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So this is his mutant ability?
No.
No.
This is him. What he has unlocked is like he has become a highly evolved being. It's not even his mutant ability. This is him basically being like, I have unlocked the multiverse, everything. And it's like, what the frick? It's like, come on, try it. It's like,
no.
What? So the first student's like, okay, and he jumps off and dies, and nothing happens. He's dead.
Oh, David.
And so the other student's like, I'm not doing that. And Morgan's like, no, I believe in you. I think you can do it.
Goodness, how ridiculous. I don't know
Just
what
wait.
Okay.
So the student's like, no, but then Morgan pushes him. Like, he grabs him and just forces him down. And as he's falling, these spider legs shoot from his back and grab onto the wall. And he's like, that's not my mutant ability. What the heck? In fact, it's almost like you could say that their mutant abilities were pretty much nothing. Like, they could shoot fire or whatever. This is like, what the frick is this? And he's like grabbed on, and then it's like, that's the last we see of him for a second. He's like, oh my God. And Morgan's like, welcome to the world. Let's go conquer the multiverse together. And he's like, there's so much you can do. It's like, what the frick? And then we cut back to the dinner, and we're witnessing all sorts of things happening. People are cooking and going crazy. But then it's a fun time. But then in comes, this is where it's, this will make sense later. In comes Darth Vader.
No.
And the Imperial Army, like Star Wars, like stormtroopers and everything like that. They come in and they're like, what?
They bust up.
They bust up into the banquet.
Okay.
And they start shooting and taking prisoners, and the students are like running and hiding. And it's like, what the frick is going on? This is insane. This shouldn't be happening. And just people are dying, and it's crazy. And some of the students are fighting back with their powers, and they manage to escape. And they sort of, a group of them gets away, and they're like, I saw that movie. So did some terrorists just dress up as Darth Vader and stormtroopers?
Oh, no.
I guess some terrorists just did that, but then one of them's like, no, I think that was Darth Vader. Now,
Okay.
as you know, Disney owns Star Wars.
Well, of course.
So that's important. And so I'm going to cut to the chase. This is the part, because I kind of, you kind of forget some of your dreams, but this is the part that I like remember. So it cuts like 50 years in the future or whatever. And we see from the back, and actually this character was being played by the student that Morgan Freeman like pulled down and like grabbed onto the wall. He's playing by this recognize the actor. His name is I think it's Paul Dano or something like that.
What does he play?
He was in this movie called Prisoners, and he's going to be the Riddler in the new Batman movie. And I probably saw an Instagram post about it, like last night. So that's one. This is a dream I had last night, by the way.
Okay.
So anyway, you see him from the back, and he's looking back. He has longer hair now. He's in a science lab. He has a coat, and he's talking to this other person. It's like, well, did it work? What do we got? Like, and like this big beam of like energy going on, and the camera pans around, and then the guy sort of transforms into a younger looking Morgan Freeman, the guy that we've watched, like Paul, the guy with the long hair. Like, he's like, what? And then some of the energy kind of like blasts out again, and then he looks like the student that died. And then he goes back to looking like the Paul, like the original that he is. And it's just flashing back and forth. It's like, what? And the worker's like, yeah, it worked. And he's like, all right, cool. So then he just like stands back and like just transforms, and he becomes this like spider robot hybrid thing. He looks like a Borg from Star Trek,
right.
With the eye, like the way that,
Yes.
Yeah, he looks like that. But also he's in like this big robot spider body. And it's like, what the heck? And he's like, all right, I'll see you later. And he jumps in, and then a monologue starts happening. And it's like, there's so much to the world you don't understand. So many things are possible. Things you could have never imagined. So he's going through this portal. It's like he's flying through like just dimensions. Like, and it's like when you saw Doctor Strange, didn't you? Mm-hmm. It's like when you see him going, like he's flying through all these different dimensions. And it's like, what? And then he gets to this is the big part. He gets there. He goes through the portal, and standing there is Michael Douglas, the guy who plays Hank Pym, the Ant-Man in the Marvel movies. And he turns around, and then Janet Van Dyne, his wife, is wearing the Wasp outfit, and he's now in the Marvel universe. And it's like, what the heck? And he's like, whoa. And then Hank Pym turns around. It's a younger looking Hank Pym. He's like, what the heck? And then as he's coming through the portal, he transforms into the Morgan Freeman. And then Kylo Ren from Star Wars. And then a Stormtrooper. And then Lightning McQueen from the Cars movies. And then Woody from the Pixar movies. And then he transforms into the Predator at one point. And then he's like, this is all as he's falling. He's going through these forms. And he transforms into Wolverine. And he transforms into... and he goes back to like his spider body and he lands. And then he looks at Hank Pym and he turns into Hank Pym. And Hank Pym's like, how is this possible? And it's like, there's so many things you didn't even know are possible. Anything can happen. The world is all connected. And then he starts saying, he's like breaking the fourth wall. He's like, Disney owns all of this. So they could do this. That's how this is happening. I realized that. We're in a movie. This is not real. And Hank Pym's like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I'm the Ant-Man. It's like, Janet, get him. And Janet like turns into the Wasp and goes after him, and he just like poof and like just throws her back, and it's like, whoa. And he's like, this is a movie, dude. I know what you're gonna do next. You're gonna put on your Ant-Man outfit. And he already had like the button he was about to press, like turn into the Ant-Man. It's like, crap. He's like, yeah, I know. Disney owns us all, so we can be anything. And I think the next movie is gonna be pretty weird because, well, it's gonna be a crossover. Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel, everything. I'll see you then. End movie.
So the whole movie was really just in his head. The whole thing about the dude falling off the balcony and dying never really occurred. Or
no, that did occur.
Well, why would Morgan Freeman's character let somebody die like that? That has bothered me since you said it.
Because he didn't think he would die. He was hoping that he would have the power to transcend, such as they did, and he didn't. And he's like,
and
well,
so it was okay with him. We'll just sacrifice this one.
Well, he's like, whatever. He realizes that there's so much more, and it's like a Dr. Manhattan thing from Watchmen, where it's like, whatever, one little speck, not that big of a deal. Hey, you try it. It's not very Morgan Freeman-ish, but this is not Morgan Freeman himself. It's a character.
It goes with the storyline.
But it's a character.
But then that person lives again through the...
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can become that. Because it doesn't matter. Because he's not really dead. It's because... you don't die. It's a movie. He's not even a real person.
Okay.
They've discovered they live in a movie. So that is my pitch for New Mutants 2.
So, what is the name of the character played by the Paul actor?
I did not remember.
I mean, it's your dream.
But I'll make it up. I can make it up.
Yeah.
His name is Jack.
Okay, so Jack is kind of the key to the New Mutants.
So Jack is this kid who's part of the New Mutants, and he unlocks that he's in he breaks the fourth wall, and that's what the transcending is. That they broke the fourth wall. They know they're in a movie, so he understands that. So then he starts traveling through all the different multiverses, and then gets to the Marvel one, which sets up a crossover for the next Avengers where they have to fight Darth Vader and like the Imperial Legion, because they're going to invade the Marvel universe because they've broken the fourth wall, and it's all connected because Disney just owns it all anyway. Maybe it's a commentary on how Disney's like kind of becoming a monopoly in this whole movie thing. Right. So that is my dream.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's interesting to me, like you said, about unlocking creativity. Like, hey, my mind came up with this. Because do you feel like you would have ever come up with that if it weren't a dream? No.
And let's be honest, okay? Let's drop on the. It's just a dumb little dream I had, but I think it's interesting because like it's one of those things where I wake up like I came up with that in my head. Like what? I'd never think maybe, but. The fact that unconsciously I thought about Lightning McQueen is just hilarious to me.
That is funny.
I specifically remember he turned into Lightning McQueen, a car.
So when the character that you've named Jack is older and he's in the lab with the lab coat and he's got this talking to people in the big beam of energy, what do you see that? What is that? The beam. What is that?
It's this big blue ball of light that has like rings kind of revolving around it and going crazy.
But what is it?
It is a portal into it. You could imagine that it is it's a break in the
space-time.
In the
continuum.
space-time continuum, yes. And
So
the rings that are revolving around it is what's keeping it contained to that spot.
Does he go into it?
Yes.
Okay, did you say that when you were describing the dream?
I think so.
Okay.
He goes
my mind
into
doesn't
it.
go
And it's like a
with you.
portal where he can just travel through everything.
So, now the question becomes, is this something that you could use in your writing? Like, create a character like did you name him Jack? Like the Jack character who has access or creates or learns how to create this portal, and he goes in, and it doesn't have to be the necessarily, crossover of everything Disney, but just past, present, future, or it could even be, combining DC Marvel. It could be, it's an interesting concept for just a storyline or even a series,
Okay, here's the plan. We are going to write a book series, a bunch of different ones. And then one day, we'll have Jack show up in one of them.
And then he'll go back through all our books.
And he'll go through all the books.
Yes.
And then big crossover event. It's like the Avengers, but with our book characters. You got Jamie Summerborn there, and then
the characters I have in Charmer and
exactly. And then it'll cross over with a Swearingen's book too, and everything. And then it's the Avengers, but in book form.
That's a thought.
Great.
That's a thought. It's an unusual thought, but
it's a creative conversation.
It is
to say
most
the least.
definitely a creative conversation.
But it's
wow.
What?
I'm just wow. That's all.
But this actually brings me to like a real thing that happened. I think is really cool. I want to talk about the CW for a second. You know the CW? It's this TV channel. They were the ones who made Smallville. You know about Smallville?
Yes, I do.
And they make the Arrow and the Flash and those shows right now. Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning. All these they're DC characters in the show, and they recently did a crossover called Crisis on Infinite Earths, in which Brandon Routh's Superman from Superman Returns, who is technically the same Superman as Christopher Reeve's Superman from like 40 years ago, shows up in it. And it's like, what? And then the Flash from the current movies shows up in it on TV. It's like, whoa. And then Smallville's Tom Welling, who has not been on TV in 10 years, shows up in it as Superman also. And it's like, whoa! And then all the different characters from all the shows cross over. Because you expected, like, okay, yeah, Arrow and Flash, it's in the same universe. That's who crosses over. But it opened up this really amazing idea that I've been thinking about a lot, because it's so freaking cool to me that the people stopped playing around with it. Like, no, well, technically it's not the same. Shut up. It's just, you can do whatever you want. Like, why don't you just do something cool? And so, like, yeah, you know what, Tom Welling? Yeah, you know what? You come be in this thing. You're Superman. Because they go into that universe. They go into the Earth. They go into the universe that Smallville is in, and they're like, hey, we need your help, and he like shows up. Same thing with Brandon Routh. That's freaking cool. And it's cool to me that like they made the Superman Returns movie 10 years ago, and everybody hated it, but they liked Brandon Routh as Superman. Why not bring him back? He'll do it. That's cool. And I wish Marvel would do more things like that. They just do things that are cool, man. That's cool. Why not? Why not?
Well, as we continue to talk about the glut of entertainment options, I think they might eventually consider something like that. I mean,
I hope so.
You know?
Maybe they'll have to run out of ideas. But you know what? I think Marvel's already running out of ideas, because the next big movie is the Eternals. You ever heard of the Eternals?
I've heard you talk about it. That's about it.
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean...
Well, a lot of people were like, who the heck is Iron Man? And look where that went.
That's true,
you know?
But...
It's also Robert Downey Jr.
It's also Robert Downey Jr. Well, there's some cool actors like in the Eternals, and that's true. Before the Iron Man movie, Iron Man was a C-list character. That's very true. Same thing for the Guardians of the Galaxy. But the difference is, if I go back and look at old Iron Man and Guardians of the Galaxy comics, I can go, oh, okay, that's why they're interesting. I just wasn't seeing it. With the Eternals, no. I cannot think of a more boring franchise in Marvel than the Eternals. It's just
somebody wrote it, David. You're being very insulting.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman, who's an incredible... actually, Jack Kirby came up with the Eternals. So I'm sorry, Jack. But it's just it's about these. I bet you'll like the concept. Actually, it's about these gods who were put here by beings called the Celestials, who like created the universe, and they were like, "Hey, you guys, Earth's a big deal. Why don't y'all watch over it?" And they're like gods, like they live forever. They have infinite power, basically, and they're just hanging out, like watching over Earth. The problem is, where were you in the past 4 Avengers movies? If you're the Guardians of the Earth, where you been? Man, Freaking Thanos snapped out half of reality. And you just were like, what? Freaking
chilling,
watching Netflix or something? Like, what the heck? You know, for some of the new ones coming up, like Blade is going to be a movie made. That makes sense. What was Blade supposed to do about Thanos? He's just a vampire hunter who has a sword. I think Blade's awesome, don't get me wrong, but what's he supposed to do? Nothing.
In other words, you don't see a conflict with what has already been
shown.
Right.
But with the Eternals, it's like, where you been? Man, I can't think of a more boring franchise. Okay. And it's just funny to me.
All right.
That Marvel's doing this. I wish they did more cool things.
I understand.
But don't worry, one day we'll just do cool things. My message is, if you just do cool things, why are you afraid to give fan service? Like Picard.
I was see. Oh, you read my mind.
Right.
As always, David reads my mind. I read David's mind. It's a thing we have.
Yeah,
but happens. See, I'm trying to get there. I was trying to get to Picard.
So perfect. You can talk about the recent episodes. And
did you watch the one I sent you for?
No, I didn't. I have not had time. I'm sorry.
Oh yes. You have.
Well, no, you sent it to me when we talked on. When did we talk on the phone?
No, it doesn't matter. You did have time. You just didn't use it.
Theoretically, I could. No, I didn't. I've been. I mean, I could have not slept for another hour.
See, you
sure.
always have time.
But when I was awake, I was doing things.
I understand.
Yeah.
And things for our business, by the way.
Thanks for your business, yeah. Which is why you guys should definitely check out our Fiverr. Hire us to write stuff for you. We have great ideas that we just discussed.
We do.
But anyway, I'll let you talk about Picard. But I just want to say, Picard, that's a cool thing.
It is a very cool
thing. You know why that got made? Because somebody's like, it'd be freaking cool if we just did a Picard show. Why not? Patrick Stewart will do it. That'll be awesome. It'll make money. It's fan service. Why are people so afraid of doing cool things?
Well, I have to say, I think they had to make sure Patrick Stewart would do it, and he has a huge hand in it. He would not have done it unless it was done how he wanted, because he is Jean-Luc Picard, and he wanted to make sure that was portrayed in the correct way, or he wasn't going to participate. So I have also been watching Ready Room with Will Wheaton, who played Wesley Crusher, and he does a recap of every show and talks to a lot of the people who are instrumental in getting the show together. And so I'm just going to say this before I go back to the episodes, but the Ready Room interview, I don't remember the person's name, and I'm sorry that I don't, but he was one of the main creators. This is for episode 2. He was one of the main creators of the series, and he explained how they looked at what was important to the fans. The connection specifically between Picard and Data, which those are probably the 2 most beloved Star Trek characters of all time. Those 2. Mm-hmm. And people love them, but they also love the relationship that Picard and Data had. And on top of that, Brent Spiner and Patrick Stewart have great love for each other, which just absolutely shows anytime they're together. And so just that was enough, in my opinion, to do it. But they definitely have tried to stay true to so many aspects of what everybody who loves Star Trek Next Generation loves, and they found a way to pull it in and use it to manipulate how you feel about it. And he talked about that a bit, which I found fascinating. So to be very specific, and I'm sure I'll say many spoilers, but as many people love Data, they took the synthetic life forms and gave them yellow eyes like Data, and they had them revolt and destroy something, and that's a huge part of the show, is how all synthetic life has now been banned. But when they're showing the synthetics and how they revolted and against humans, at first you're really liking this kind of weird, quirky, synthetic character they're showing you because it reminds you of Data. And then all of a sudden, he just turns evil because you can see his eyes flash. We don't know yet who programmed him to do it, but he kills a person behind him, and just, oh my goodness, and your heart just goes out because you started to kind of like this hokey thing that they're showing that's based on ideas from Data, and the creators of the show did that on purpose. It's like, you love Data so much, so let's show you what synthetics could do, and it's like pulls on your heartstrings. That was one of the things of the interview that really stood out to me. But I'm going to go back now and talk about the episodes. So the first episode, I didn't know anything about what it was going to look like. I had listened to all the people conjecture about who they thought the different characters were and whatever, but watching it come on the screen, they're just showing all these images of different nebula and space phenomena, and it's just beautiful. And there's the song Blue Skies, which was the song Data was singing in the last movie at Troy and Will's wedding. Not Will. Yeah, Will Riker. And so that was just beautiful. And then they take the camera through the window of the Enterprise into 10 forward, and there's Data and Picard playing poker, which is how the series ended. Next Generation was them sitting around the table playing poker. So I saw all of these tie-ins immediately. And I mean, when I tell you, I was on the couch just going, it just grabbed my heart. It just grabbed me. So I can imagine that other Star Trek fans like me were just watching the show, just kind of going, it just pulled so many things. I have just loved the show for so long. I've loved it as long as it's been on the air, and I've watched the entire series now, I think a total of 4 times. And it was just so meaningful to me just to see just that, you know. And then as the story unfolded, just the production value. I mean, everything is of the highest quality. The makeup and all the prosthetics and everything are just on point. And they're not doing CGI. They're doing actual full-blown everything. And just seeing the story, and what people conjectured was that the girl that came to Picard for help through this long series of crazy events was actually his daughter. And so that was kind of my frame of mind when I was watching the show, because I had seen so many people talking about, oh, well, it has to be Picard because, you know, the name of the show is Picard, and, you know, he's an older actor, so if they want this series to continue, they're going to have a Picard, so she's his daughter because of da-da-da-da-da. And I mean, I didn't know what it was, that was my thought. So it turns out that this person that he's talking to that comes to him for help is an android. And the only way she could be the type of android that she is if she was made from the same type of plans or whatever as Data. So she's Data's daughter. And so then that makes a whole new level of, oh my God, because, you know, Picard just loved Data so much, and he's just mourned his death for 20 years because he died to save Picard and everybody else. And that was a lot. And then watching what happens with her and how he tries to help her. And I'm telling you, by the end of the first episode, I had to go in another room and just cry. I wept. I just sat down and just wept. I was just so overwhelmed by seeing the characters again, and the phenomenal actor that James, I can't say his name, Patrick Stewart. Trying to say something else, but Patrick Stewart is just, oh my goodness. So then the second episode comes on, and they're showing a lot of things that they made references to in the first one, and the storyline is unfolding, and the idea that the Romulans have this level of the police force, the Tal Shiar, that's actually the actual police force, and how all Romulans hate all synthetic life forms. And so the story just kind of keeps getting deeper and deeper, and like, how does it all tie in? And Picard's trying to come back to Starfleet, which he's parted from in a bad way, and he's trying to get a ship because he needs to go on the mission that the whole episode sets up. And oh my goodness, it's just strong. And there's, you know, you're seeing like people are kind of like out for Picard because he's sticking his nose in where it doesn't belong. And so the story itself is good, but seeing the people that you love playing the story, and just, I have just enjoyed it so much. I've already seen both episodes twice, and watch a lot of stuff. Like, people love putting their YouTube videos about all the Easter eggs, and so I'm see a lot of them myself. But you know, there are people a whole lot more into Star Trek than I am, finding all these specific references, and when they say this word or this line or this name is a character that Patrick Stewart played when he was in Dune, and all this stuff. It has just been so much fun for me to get back into the Star Trek universe in a way that I love, because there have been a few Star Trek series that I've tried to get into. Like, I love Next Generation. I like Voyager. I watched Deep Space Nine. But there were some of the other ones after that I really wanted to like, and I started watching them, and I just couldn't get into them. I haven't tried to watch Discovery yet. I haven't gone there, but I feel like that one will be interesting. I just haven't started it. But just these characters, this specific ensemble, and they're, you know, pulling different ones back, even if it's just for one episode, just to see the actors again and watch the interaction, to know that the actual actors love each other as much as they still do, and then seeing them getting to play their roles again, it's just more than I can even know how to express. So I have loved it very much. And I've talked for a long time, so see if you have any questions. Do you have anything to say about it?
I like the idea that these actors get to do this cool thing, and I'm sure they loved it and have wanted to do it. I mean, I totally get the reaction you're having to it, of just being so happy and just to enjoy that sort of thing again. That's how I felt about Brandon Routh getting to be Superman again. Like, that's just so cool. So that's cool that they did that. And I'm sure that more people have purchased CBS All Access in the past 2 weeks than have ever purchased it before because now you get this really cool thing with doing it. That's actually a really great thing and worth putting your time into it and watching it. So I love franchises that make you feel that way about getting to see them again. I have many that I feel the same way about, and getting that emotional connection to these characters and what they can mean for you, and and also just enjoying good writing and good storytelling.
It's good all the way across the board.
Emotional connections. I have that a lot with video games. I've found, because video games, it's very, very personal. You get to do it yourself. With the Mass Effect franchise, for example, I'm very emotionally attached to those games. And if you've played Mass Effect, you know why. Games like Fallout, whenever a new game gets announced in a franchise that I love that hasn't been around for a while. Whenever Fallout 4 was announced, and it had been like 8 years since Fallout 3, I cried. I really did. Turns out the game was like okay, but still,
just the idea that you could go back to something you really care about.
Yeah, the idea that I could go back to something I really care about, and then when you get to see characters pop up again, that it's like, oh, I'm really happy to see you. Glad you're hanging out. Glad you're still around. That's cool. And then you find out characters you love die because people are, are immortal.
Right. Well, that's another cool thing about Next Generation. Patrick Stewart's 79. And so if they were ever going to do any kind of a reboot or whatever you want to call this series, because it's a continuation really more than anything. And in real time and in Star Trek time, 20 years has passed.
It's kind of a sequel to the Next Generation, huh?
It is. And it's perfect that they did it the way they did. However, they're not just doing it because fans said, hey, let's do this. And they're looking at, hey, let's make a lot of money because all these fans are doing it. They love it. They're doing it because they wanted to pay the right kind of tribute to a show that was so well received, and every aspect of it is phenomenal. And one of the things that my husband and I talk about is you can watch Next Generation now and it doesn't seem dated or doesn't feel dated because it's about the future, and as we've talked about, they predicted the whole idea of the laptop and the iPad and the whatever. But when you watch the whole series, like I just finished, I literally finished it this week, Star Trek Next Generation. I started watching it in preparation for Picard. I wanted to be caught up again. And then you see Picard and you're like, oh, I thought that Next Generation seemed up to date, but you see people like manipulating data, and it's not even a screen. It's like a flat surface with all this data on it that's projected up from something, and those are the computers, and they're just constantly manipulating things with their hands and swiping things away like you can do on a touch screen, but it's not even a screen anymore. It's just projected in front of you, and just the way the scenes are cut together, the way the characters interact with each other, and the concepts that they're exploring. There's just every level of good that you can get, in my opinion, in the show. It's just every level of good, and it makes it to where it's not just, oh my God, I can't believe I get to experience these characters and these actors again. It's, oh my God, this is an amazing show. It's just so good in every aspect, and it's so much fun to immerse yourself back in that again and wait a week for the next series. By the way, this week on the Thursday will be on my birthday, so I'm so excited. My birthday present will be Picard's 3rd episode on my birthday.
You should have a viewing party.
I'm saying, come over to watch Picard on my 55th birthday.
You know what? Everyone listening right now is invited.
This will be over, by the way. It'll be the weekend after, so no.
Right.
But yeah, that's just so cool to me that it just happened to fall on the day that it's going to be on my birthday.
That's really nice.
That is nice.
The last Harry Potter movie came out on my birthday.
Oh, that's neat.
So that was cool. Went to a midnight premiere. It would have been cool if I cared about Harry Potter, but I still went. That was cool.
Well, I feel like we need to explore that topic. We've never talked about Harry Potter.
What?
So have you ever read the series?
No.
Okay, so you just said you don't care about it?
I like the movies a lot. I was not really emotionally attached to that franchise, like other people are.
Oh, well, you definitely have a level there that exceeds anything that has ever happened before, in my opinion.
What?
This is the level of fandom. I guess it rivals Star Wars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I would say, though, that the size of the fandom might rival Star Wars, but Star Wars is still like up there, but I think it would be fair to say, arguably, you know the word.
Get the point.
That the excitement of the fan and the devotion that the Harry Potter fans have to the fandom is just insane.
Like never matched before.
Yeah, never matched. Like maybe Star Wars, but even then, the people who love Star Wars, they're not usually as obsessed with Star Wars as people who love Harry Potter are with Harry Potter. I can't think of another. Definitely not Marvel movies. I mean, definitely not. I mean, people love Star Trek, and Trekkies love Star Trek. But
Absolutely.
I mean, have you ever written fan fiction about Star Trek?
Well, not me personally, but many people have.
I'm sure many people have, but I would assume more people have with Harry Potter. I don't know though. You're right. The straight up like obsession of Harry Potter that comes. It matches like boy band levels. Like people obsess over Harry Potter like they do boy bands.
Right.
And I mean, that's cool. I mean,
it is.
Good for you.
It's
I'm
amazing.
glad you have something you enjoy and relate to and get that. I love Daniel Radcliffe with all my heart, but I just never got into the franchise that much. I've seen all the movies, but
did you ever try to read the books? Did you ever read book one?
Yes, because my dad's a big fan of the books, so he had all the books and he put them in my room and was like, read them, and I was like, those are pretty big, and I'm like 10, so I'm not gonna do that. And then as I just got older, I just never had a drive to.
So you never even started like book one?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
So I was starting to read the books as they were actually coming out, and I don't think I was ever on the go crazy because the book came out. I had friends that were though. I had friends that would go to the party where they waited till midnight and they got their first copy and whatever. And I would just wait a while, and I do own the entire set, and I have read the whole series twice. But the thing that I love about this, it's a very personal thing. J.K. Rowling is my age. And so to watch someone who started like she did, and the story is just still phenomenal. She just was, on public welfare. She had a child. She had to go sit in a coffee shop to find a different kind of distraction to write anything. And she believed in her story. I mean, it fell into her head and she just wanted to get it out. And it's just, from the time she started to the time she ended, she was already phenomenally successful, but, had to finish out her story and everything. And I just have been so personally motivated by her. I think I've even mentioned before, I know to you, but on the podcast about there was an interview where Oprah was interviewing J.K. Rowling and they spoke about Michael Jackson. And all three of those people have been just huge motivational factors for me for many different reasons. And it was one of the first the reason after that interview, I had the drop in my head moment that I want to write. And I spent many years developing this whole series of ideas that I wanted to develop into a 7-book series. It was almost exactly like J.K. Rowling's idea. It was just a school, but instead of teaching magic, it was teaching psychological powers, mental powers, and telepathy and stuff. And that particular idea,
brain magic,
was what led to me writing Charmer, which kind of combines a lot of the ideas down into something that I think could actually go somewhere. I just, as I've said before, and I need to get off my butt, haven't done anything with that story. Because I do have a full first draft of a novel. I just have to get back to it, edit it in a way.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Maybe this summer.
Yeah, I need to make myself sit down and write down all the things I want to do and find time for them, because like I said to you earlier, you did have time, and I can't deny that I've had plenty of time. I just haven't used it in that way. So finding time to do everything you want to do is something that we could explore now or later, but I definitely have a list that I want to attack. And it's a big list.
Yeah, it's really cool. We have a lot of work to do when this podcast is over. That's exciting again. It's a good feeling.
It is.
And we will find time to do that.
We shall.
I have something I want to, just a random off-topic topic. Have you ever seen the Fast and Furious movies? Any of them?
I've heard of them and I know about them, but it's not my kind of movie.
Never seen. I know it's not your kind of movie. You've never seen them. Well, I'm gonna talk about the trailer real quick. Because I actually am a big fan of these movies.
What number are we on now?
9. Plus Hobbs and Shaw. It is straight up a saga. There are almost as many Fast and Furious movies as there are Star Wars movies. It is absolutely insane what this franchise has become. But I love it because it's like I gotta admit that stuff's pretty cool when they're driving cars through buildings. And in the most recent trailer, the stunt they showed off was he's driving in a car and a bridge has collapsed. And he's going, and his girlfriend's like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, but he hits it in a certain. It's so unrealistic. He hits the post that's still up in a certain way that it latches on. No, I know what she did. Like no. What it does is it latches onto the front bumper. So as he's falling, there's a rope that's attached to the because the two posts on each side are connected through a rope. So then that rope catches the car and then swings the car around like a hook, and then he flies up like it like propels him up onto the spot where he would actually needed to get to. Like, and he's just like straight faced the whole time, like, yeah, I knew I could do this. It's like, okay,
that's completely unrealistic and
It
ridiculous.
is absolutely insane, but I love it so much, and I'm so excited. Also, Han is back. Don't know how they did that. It's kind of like, oh, that's kind of cheap, isn't it? Han's a character that everybody loved that they killed off a few movies ago, but now he's back.
How did he die?
He was in a car crash. He was in a car crash, and then a villain went up, and we saw him in the car, not able to escape. The villain lit the car on fire and blew it the hell up.
Okay.
They went out of their way to say, this dude is dead. Got it? And it's like, oh crap. And that was actually like the plot point for like some of the more recent movies. In fact, it's actually really impressive. They set that up in Tokyo Drift, the third movie. So, and this we're on the 9th, right? So in the third movie, this is also like, well, I kind of appreciate these movies. It was kind of clever. On the third movie, that's the first movie Han was in. That takes place in Tokyo. Brand new characters we've never seen before. At the end of it, he dies in the car crash and explodes. And it's like, oh man. We don't see who did it though. We don't see the bad guy. It's like, that was kind of weird and random. Why'd you end the movie like that? That's weird. Then we have like 3 more movies and Han's in them. So they're prequels to the third one. And then at the end of like the 6th one, that dude freaking at the end of the 6th one, they show Han dying again because he's like, oh, I'm gonna go to Tokyo, and so he goes to Tokyo because his girlfriend Wonder Woman Gal Gadot, she died. That was kind of sad. I liked her. And so he goes to Tokyo. Tokyo Drift happens. It's like, what the frick? And then he dies. So the order of the movies are 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 3. So in the third one, they said, in 4 movies. Well, like, what? And then 7 happens, and they show, like, oh, this is the guy who did it. So they fight that guy. And then, sadly, Paul Walker passed away. So then in the 8th one, out of, like, they were ending it, but then when Paul died, I think Vin Diesel said, like, we're going to do an 8th one because of him. Like, because we want to, like, do one more for Paul, you know? And so they do that. And then they're doing another one because, like, cool. Because they make money, and they're big.
So,
and I actually love them. They're my guilty pleasure.
In the 7th one, that's where Paul died?
He died while they were making the 7th one,
so didn't they get his brother to finish out some of the...
Yeah, they got his brother to finish out some of the scenes. And I went back and, like, saw some of the scenes that he was in. You cannot even tell, honestly. But, you know, they shot it from a distance. And also they used some CGI.
That's what I heard.
And some other footage to...
But they're not now having his brother play his character. Like
no. Okay. They gave him a send-off. But then, it's kind of like, it doesn't make sense, but you gotta do what you gotta do. It doesn't make sense that Paul Walker's character would not come and help them out in like, whenever they're in trouble. Because he's like, okay, I'm gonna retire now, I got a wife. It's like, cool, man. But he would totally come back. But
so they did that in the 8th movie?
In the 7th movie. No, in the 7th movie.
So they changed the plot of the movie after he died.
Yeah, so after he died, they changed up the movie to make it to where he ends up retiring at the end and going to live with his wife and child. And that's why they have, like, you know, have you seen the scene where they're driving by each other and they look over and they're just smiling? And Vin is like, yo, always be my brother. And then they, like, split off onto separate roads. And it's been a long day. Yeah, that's what that comes from.
I love when you sing. That's so funny.
Not you, my friend. I'm gonna learn to play the lute, by the way. I tell you that.
I did not.
That's my new goal.
Lute.
The lute. You know what a lute is?
I do.
Yeah.
Do you have a lute?
I do not. but I found one that I want to get, but I'm not gonna spend the money on that yet. I'm gonna ask for my birthday, which is in July.
All right.
So it's gonna be a while.
Starting now.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
But it's gonna be a while, but I'm gonna get that lute.
Okay.
And I'm gonna learn to play the lute.
Maybe we'll change our intro music. It'll be
To be playing the lute. Or we can just like, we can keep the one we have, but we can add that on top of it and like mix it and get Dre to mix it for us, and it's like playing the lute.
Or you could create our own original music for positive conversations.
Oh, that's a great idea.
We could do that.
Yeah. A long time ago, I asked my dad for a guitar. I was like, I want to learn to play the guitar. But then the guitar he got me, like, the strings kept breaking. And then I got new strings, and then I was like, I'm going to play video games. And I just never got back to doing it. Which is kind of sad. I still have it just sitting in my closet, sadly. You want a guitar?
Actually, people leave their guitars in my classroom, and like any number of people will come and strum it.
Start strumming guitars.
Yeah. So, you know.
You can have it. I'll bring it. You can have it to your classroom.
Stick it in the classroom.
I don't ever use it. So it's an acoustic guitar. Oh, I'd love to have a ukulele. I'd love to play that.
We need to get ukuleles.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get a lute because I want to play bard music from like the medieval times.
Absolutely.
Because of Dungeons and Dragons, I want to sit at my Dungeons and Dragons sessions and be playing the lute and provide the music for it.
It will add to your dungeon master persona.
Exactly, and then when I'm playing, I can be a bard.
Yes. And
start doing it, and I can be like my character I am now, who's a ranger, and be like, guys, I learned to play the lute. Want to hear? Yeah.
Have musical interludes. Yeah. I love. That is hilarious.
Yeah, so I'm going to play the lute. That's my goal for this summer. Is to learn to play the lute.
No, is there like a way YouTube lessons online, or how are you?
Yeah, I've seen some lessons online. Like YouTube videos like how to play the lute. And like specific songs and stuff like that. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm like, hey Mom, how about you just get me a lute at the beginning of the summer, call it even for the birthday, so I'll have the whole summer to strum my little heart out.
Well, just out of curiosity, you just said that your summers now are not going to be any different.
Not really, but it's a mindset.
Oh.
It's the okay, it's summer. What can I do this summer to like? You know, it's a mindset.
That's so interesting that you just said that, because my head goes to, I have always had summers off. Mm-hmm. And I'm coming up on having no work. I mean, no what is the word I'm looking for? The word went out of my head. Structured. No structured time that I'm going to have to work. I'll have to provide my own structure. Mm-hmm. So it'll be kind of like maybe quarters or something. Like when you and I are doing our business, we'll have
we'll have our own little summer.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
It is. Because you just said to me earlier you couldn't do that in the summer. I think you were talking about Charmer or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
So, David and I, as I've said many, many times, just kind of dove into, hey, let's do a business. And so the podcast, as I've loved to brag about, now we're on number 29, has not ever dropped. We've found a way to get an episode up. Now we're doing 2 a week, so that's truly exciting. Mm-hmm. And when I retire from teaching, I will just have all of the time in the world to devote to whatever else we want to do with our business. And we're branching out. We do have a Fiverr customer we're working with right now, and I'm really excited about some of the other avenues. And as I said just a few minutes ago, I have had much time, and I have not been using it to do any of those things. So I need to really examine, what do I want, like between now and whatever amount of time, what would I like to have happen, and find a way to set aside time, because when productions are in full swing, as they are right now, I finished one last weekend and now I have one coming up in March, that consumes so much of me, and I'm not going to ever let that not happen. But I do still have downtime. Like yesterday was a down day, and when I tell you I did nothing, I mean, we did go eat, we went shopping, we visited with Danny's mother. Those are things that are important to do, but otherwise, I had like the whole day, and I could have sat in here and worked on stuff for Fiverr, or I could have written some blogs, and I did none of that at all. Mm-hmm. So there are days I feel like you need to take the day off, and I've read different things about productivity. Jack Canfield, who I've mentioned before, who is the Chicken Soup for the Soul author, has a specific way of looking at it. Like some days you do nothing, and other days you do this kind of work, and then other days you do this kind of work. And I might need to revisit that to get myself back on some kind of track to feel like what I'm doing for this business is going to help it to be where I do want to be when I retire. But I have to make it work around my job that I'm still doing, because I will never give that half of my attention ever. So, just random thoughts. Creative random thoughts.
You should learn to play the lute. That's what you should do.
You know what? Should do it together.
I think we should scrap the whole business thing. Yes. We become a band.
Right.
We just play the lute.
All right.
Nothing else.
Okay.
This the same, yeah.
But I mean, we could do harmony.
Yeah, exactly.
How much does a good lute cost?
Like $100.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have a birthday, like I said, in 4 days, so yeah.
If anyone wants to send her a lute for her birthday.
I mean, I could look into it. Maybe I'll get birthday money and I can spend that on a lute. Where do you get a lute? You order it from
Guitar
Amazon?
Center.
Oh, you go to Guitar Center.
or Amazon or whatever. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a random thing. Because in The Witcher, that guy has a lute. And he plays a song called Toss a Coin to Your Witcher that I'm obsessed with. So I want to play that song. So I'm going to play the lute.
So
you got a tambourine right there.
The actor, yes, I do. The actor who plays The Witcher is the same actor who plays
Superman.
And that's not the person you were talking about earlier. The one.
No, that's not the person.
So there are all these different people who have played Superman.
Yeah.
And where did he play Superman again?
In the new DC movies, the DCEU movies, like Man of Steel and Justice League and Batman v Superman, Brandon Routh was in Superman Returns, which was a sort of semi-sequel, like spiritual sequel to the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and then this is a whole new thing. This is Henry Cavill, who plays, and that was started in Man of Steel, which kicked off the DCEU, which is sometimes garbage and sometimes great. There's a new Wonder Woman movie coming out, which is cool. There's a new Black Widow movie coming out, which is cool also. You're going to see Black Widow because your daughter kind of looks like her?
Okay, so is that the character Scarlett Johansson played?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. My head just, when you said Black Widow, I thought of something different. But, I'm sure. Yeah, Amelia does look a lot like her.
Yeah, it's really freaky, and I don't like... Also, Amelia looks like Billie Eilish.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I don't like it, because now every time I see him, like...
Looks like Amelia.
Yeah, it looks like Amelia. That's just... I can't get it out of my head. It's just funny. And every time I see Black Widow, I'm like, oh, Amelia's in a new movie. So, Amelia, I have a suggestion. You should become an actress and just... pretend you're Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
And get those roles.
Be Scarlett Johansson's daughter. That would be very cool.
Ooh.
How old is Scarlett? Did we look that up earlier?
I think she's 40.
Yeah, because Amelia's 16.
Something like that.
That could be a thing.
That makes sense. I was thinking, though, she could lie to Hollywood producers and say that she's Scarlett Johansson.
I am
yeah,
Scarlett, yeah.
I am Scarlett Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You can be whatever you want to be.
Absolutely. And that actually is going to be part of the topic of our positive conversation. So if you want to tune into that after you listen to this, I have a lot to say about be what you want to be.
Yeah.
We'll discuss
There's
that.
There's a lot we have going on with positive conversations. We're also going to talk a little bit about the late Kobe Bryant and that absolute tragedy. It's not a very positive thing that happened, obviously, but we're going to focus on the positives of who he was as a person,
of his
life, and all the nice things people had to say about him. That'll be over on Positive Conversation, so definitely do check that out.
Definitely.
Do you have anything else you want to bring up in
this episode
time we have left?
I'm trying to think if there's anything more I wanted to say about Picard, because I just am so happy to have it, and I've watched so many people talk about it that I don't want to just keep churning out the same data, but the same reactions. But I don't know. It's so nice for me personally to just be able to reconnect, and it's a wonderful thing to have the opportunity, even though the overwhelming amount of entertainment can just seem like way much. I don't know, if you can find something in the ocean of entertainment that you really love, then it's okay. I feel like it's not a great idea to just throw out something low quality, let's just get it out there to get it out there. And I think a lot of stuff out there is that way. These little low budget movies, and you're just overwhelmed by just junk. But if you could have a lot, but it's all really high quality, and I would say the overwhelming majority of what's out there is decent quality. But it's nice to see really, these people, every detail. Everything I've seen about every aspect of it is like, man, that is some top notch stuff.
That is so cool. If it was bad, would you still watch it?
I don't know, because I feel like we've talked about with Star Wars, a lot of people are so offended at how they really just disregarded the true, the thing people fell in love with. So they've made movies that have been popular, that are not bad movies. They just don't really connect back to what people loved about the Star Wars characters. So, yeah, I guess I did want to see what they did with it, but I just didn't have nearly the reaction. And I'm not even a huge Star Wars fan. So the people who are much bigger Star Wars fans, like, you know, you and your dad, like, Luke would never do that. Why? It's not Luke. What? So, yeah, they did the stuff, and I would even say they're quality productions, but I feel like they missed the mark, like Star Trek is doing. Star Trek totally hit the mark. They're like, this is what we know people love. We're going to take the story and move it forward in a way that is true to what people want to see, and I like that better.
I like when things hit the mark. That's so cool.
Yes.
It's so satisfying, like, oh, it's not bad. Because I go into everything with a healthy bit of skepticism when it comes to like entertainment, like, because I've just, you know, I know you should say positive, but I'm gonna go into the Black Widow movie being like, I don't know. Excuse me, sorry. I'm gonna go into the Eternals with lots of skepticism, but a healthy optimism.
Is there anything that you know about the Eternals movie? Have you seen anything about it?
Yeah. They announced the cast, and there's some concept art about there's some concept art of the characters, and
But the storyline, I mean, is there anything about the storyline that you think could actually make it worth seeing?
No, because I don't think any of the characters are interesting in any way.
Okay.
Except for maybe Black Knight, but only because he's being played by Kit Harington.
So what about Black Widow, though? Are you worried that they're not going to have a good storyline?
No, my healthy skepticism about Black Widow is, are they going to... Is this movie going to be even interesting in any way? Because this is a prequel, because she's dead. So it's kind of like, yeah, you should have made this movie 5 years ago, when we could have cared. Also, the skepticism about is like, you know, a problem I've had with Black Widow is the skepticism. Okay, the skepticism I sort of I don't have a lot of skepticism about Black Widow, but I want them to I guess I'm worried mostly that it won't matter. And I'm also a little worried that they're either A, going to try too hard to be something different, like a Jason Bourne movie Marvel, or it's just going to feel like another Marvel movie. Okay. But either way, those aren't big deals. Because I have enough trust in Marvel at this point that I don't have as much skepticism. Well, except for the Eternals, because it's the Eternals.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, some optimism going into the Eternals. Could be really good. Who knows? I might have to eat my words.
And you really kind of hope so. You really want it to be good.
That reminds me, did I ever tell you? Andrew said, David, if you make $1,000, and this is not a bad thing, because just wait. Andrew said, if you make $1,000 from your business, I will eat a deep fried sock.
Okay. So we need to go pick the sock.
Right.
And we need to hang... Actually, You know what? There's this sock that's been floating around my house, and we can't figure out who it belongs to. So we need to put it right up there on our Stay Creative poster, and that will be our motivation.
Yeah, well, he actually said it. It wasn't a mean thing. He said it's motivation, because I know you really want to watch me eat that sock. And he actually said, he was like, I hope that you make money off of it, so I'll eat a sock. And I'm like, you can eat one bite. He's like, okay. Make that money, and I'll eat a sock. Okay. So you know what, guys? If you want to see someone eat a sock,
or maybe take one bite.
Take a bite of a sock.
Yeah, get the coating of the fried coating.
Right, the batter. Yeah,
fried batter.
The fried batter. Yeah, then tell all your friends about our podcast.
Yeah, let's get 1,000 people. Well, let's get lots of subscribers.
Lots of subscribers and lots of views. Also, please, if you've clicked on this video, leave a like. It really helps us out. A comment about what you think. Just say hello.
Yeah. Any comment.
That would be lovely. And definitely check out the links we have in the description. I also started a vocal where I've been writing some really cool stuff. Donna's going to do the same. Those links will be in the description as well. You can hear about my tales from the yogurt store. The wacky, funny things that have happened to me being there at a yogurt/coffee shop. So definitely, please, go check that out if you get the chance. And don't forget to leave a like. That's the big thing. And subscribe. Yes. Please do subscribe. And tell everybody you meet on the street.
Yes. Everyone you know.
Everyone you run into. Okay. You see, hey, you. Pass out some flyers, maybe.
That'd be wonderful.
Please.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening to Creative Conversations of David and Donna. This has been David.
And Donna.
Stay creative.